So which book would most women want to take to a desert island? She's the one with the big pants. It's Bridget Jones's Diary.
Big pants. Nice. In the final part of today's show, we're asking who enjoys sex between the covers of a book the most. We'll hear Irvin, Terry and Kay's thoughts in just a second. Yours too on the usual number, 0207 173 5555. A new research reckons 2/3 of women over 45 love reading raunchy scenes in novels. Half said sex in books was titillating, and a further 10% admitted buying books specifically because they featured lots of sex. Are you one of them? What do you get from what you're reading? This is where it's going to sound like some bad 1970s show. Is it all up here in your head, as Kirsty was trying to convince me earlier? Or do you use sexy literature to lead up to, how can I say this? To lead up to a private moment. There we go. How am I doing? Do you lust after the raunch of a Jackie Collins or the pent-up frustration of a Barbara Taylor Bradford or Catherine Cookson? Are books female porn? There you go, I've said it. Do words do for you what pictures do for us fellas? Alfred Kinsey, the famous American biologist, famed for his studies of human sexuality, he claimed women were more likely to be stimulated by romantic literature than by explicit erotic passages. My personal theory, as I mentioned earlier, is that there are two types of sex scenes in books. The ones you want to read in private, if you get my drift, and the ones you can't really be bothered to read at all because they're so cringeworthy, and I want to know if it's the same for you girls. I mean, we spoke about this recently. Many have tried to launch female porn magazines. Most of those titles fail. Unlike those dirty books you girls are buying by the truckload, the Black Lace series, for example, 4 million copies sold and counting, thanks to such titles as Bedding the Burglar, well, hey, Kissing It Better, and my... and my two personal favourites, All the Trimmings and Coming Up Roses.
That could be painful.
Watch out for the pricks. Roses. Well, come on then, Irvin. Wait, as a novelist, do you dread having to write a sex scene? Is there an obligation on you to write a sex scene?
Yeah, well, I knew a novelist who kind of said that every 10th page you should have a sex scene. You should do that. You should do this kind of formulaically. And I don't really think about it consciously. I mean, it's like, again, it's like, you know, the boring thing about being a novelist is that you're thinking in terms of the character. And whenever I devise a character, I have this kind of matrix. It's kind of, it's where they stay, what they play, and who they lay. And it's like, you know, so it's basically kind of, it's basically where do they come from? Yeah. You know, where do they come from? What community were they brought up in? What's their family background and all that kind of stuff? And the next thing is to make up a playlist. What kind of stuff do they listen to? Because you can get a bit of mood in the head of a person from, you know. And actually, I actually source the records out and buy them and play them. And kind of who they lay, it's like, what is their sex life, what is their kind of preferences, what do they like to kind of get up to in bed and all that sort of stuff. So that gives you a kind of idea of the character. You might not necessarily have all these elements in the book, but they inform the whole sensibility of the character.
Are you... When I said there's two different types, right, I have read one of Alan Titchmarsh's novels. There is no need to read a second, if I indeed... really, Terry. And it was really interesting because you got the feeling that, one, he felt obliged to write a sex scene, and two, he wanted to do it without making it in any way erotic, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't do it for you as a reader, as a piece of stimulation. And yet it seems to me, I don't know, maybe you can shed light on this, Kay, it seems to me that women can get off on perhaps slightly more...
I suspect, and it's impossible for me to tell because I'm not a man, but I suspect women read these scenes in a different way from the way that men do. I would imagine a guy will find a lot of them quite irritating, really, but I think they're basically grown-up fairy tales for women. And usually they're written in a way that's sympathetic to women, you know, that you do have a hero-type figure, even if he's a bit of a, you know, dastardly cad or whatever like that.
But Catherine Cookson's books, I mean, to me, I used to get... My Auntie Betty used to give me Catherine Cookson's novels, so, you know, it's like, read her son, superb authoress, she used to say, like, you know. But there's always these bits, and you see them being dramatised on Sundays, and there was always a bit that the hero kind of rapes the heroine, and they end up marrying each other, you know. It's like this kind of... It's kind of...
masterful, though. I don't know, it's usually written in a way that is well, that works for a woman, you know, and I don't know, there's lots of detail, and there's lots of faffing about, and there's lots of build-up, and it takes forever, and blah, blah. I mean, for instance, Irvin's, if there's any kind of sexy stuff in your books, and I've read quite a few of them, I love your writing, but the sex scenes that you might write make me feel uncomfortable because they're very male. I feel that they're written from a very male
they're designed to be uncomfortable, aren't they? Some of them, they're uncomfortable people.
No, it's not a complaint, but it's just an observation, whereas a lot of sex scenes, I think,
Can I ask you a really frank question on
woman.
TV? Do you ever read erotic literature or erotic scenes in books and then want to have a private moment?
I don't think you can ask me that.
OK. Let's move on to you then, Terry.
All right, me. Well...
One Catholic boy to another.
Every time, when that day, once a fortnight comes up, I look at my missus and say, hang on, just let's get a few pages of this out of the way. I don't know, but the first time I really read anything that was what we used to call dirty books was when I was at school, and you know, and that did kind of get me quite excited. But it was books like Skinhead and Skinhead Escapes and James Herbert the Rats. But as a couple are doing it, suddenly the rats.
Yeah, I read that one.
But do you know what I mean? So those are my memories. And again,
I can't do it now without rat traps being stuck to my nipples.
But I was thinking about.
How about you?
I was thinking about what Kay said about Irving, because from what I remember, the sex scenes that Irving writes, it's true of a lot of lads of a certain age, and it was in my day, where almost like to just go and pull a girl for sex or whatever was almost what you'd do after you'd had a curry or whatever. You know, it was not. It wasn't that cold. It wasn't that cold, but I think it was. So he's not. You're not writing the sex scenes for me to feel titillated, are you, when you write it?
Not really, no. I mean, I kind of wrote a sex scene in I think it was the Bedroom Secrets of the Master Chefs. It was basically about a kind of an old woman who's a gypsy who seduces this young guy, and I mean, I kind of got a lot of flack for that for some reason.
Nominated for a Bad Sex Award.
Oh yeah, because it was horrible.
Yeah,
I remember it now.
There's only, you know, getting nominated for a Bad Sex Award is okay, but not winning it is a bit embarrassing.
I think Alan Titchmarsh did. Let's turn it open to you. Who enjoys erotic fiction the most? What do women want from their reading? Kirsty?
We have Lou on line 1.
Lou, good morning.
Good morning.
What do you want from your books, Lou?
Well, I think that most women need a bit of romance, because let's be honest, most men are romantic as slugs. And they also like to have something left to the imagination, where most men tend to want to read about, like, the characters having a really good time, and then the female character then turns the telly on so you can watch the footy, gets him a pint of beer and a pizza, and then calls herself a taxi to go home.
And what's your problem with that, Lou?
Well, nothing at all. But all I'm saying is
You're saying you want romance, and yet this survey says you want horny writing. So that which
can't have both.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you're suggesting you want sort of romance over sex, and these stats are suggesting, particularly women 45 plus, they actually, you know, ease off on the romance and let's have a bit more of the sort of toing and froing.
But maybe I'm not that old yet.
All right, Lou, thank you for that. Let's have another.
Michelle's on line 3.
Michelle, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
What do you want from your books?
I think as time has gone on, I've actually got more erotic. I've gone from Mills and Boon up to Alora's Cave, which are quite saucier. I don't know if you've ever heard of Alora's Cave.
No, but I will certainly be checking it out after the show.
And no one gets eaten by rats to this.
Is it you that's changing? Is it the world that's changing?
I think it's me and the world. I think it's far more acceptable to have a bit more detail in your writing now.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with obviously leaving things to the imagination.
No.
But I think now and then it gives a bit more excitement to have a more detailed read.
OK. Thank you very much for that, Michelle. Well, now spent, exhausted, breathless. It's time to bring this morning's Talkfest to an urgent climax, because we're all out of time, I'm afraid. Irvin, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for coming and giving up your time. Reheated Cabbage, I'm sure it will sell by the truckload as well. A great collection of short stories. I'm going to start it today. Kay and Terry, bless you. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Give it up for a wonderful panel. Thank you. What have I got to tell you? Property guru Sarah Beanie. She's our special guest tomorrow. Don't miss her. And don't miss the Ashes highlights here on 5, 7:15 this evening. I can tell you, England have won the toss and we're going into bat. Good luck to our boys. Ta for watching this morning. Really appreciate it. Best of luck to you all. Bye for now.